such a special place where Prabhupada was personally present in so many, and was present and is present. And now here we who were, so to say, present when he was present, or trying to explain something about how it was, or what it was, or what happened. Because from my point of view, it's still present. From a spiritual point of view, as it said, that is, he reasons ill, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, that he reasons ill who says that Vaishnava dies while living still in sound, and how is it? And living spreads the holy name around. So Prabhupada was spreading the holy name around, and he is, in his instructions, in his name, he is present. Okay. Yesterday was some Yogendra Prabhu tried to speak. Okay. The sound is on, but my voice is weak today. Okay. We have some focus on Sweden. Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada in Sweden, or maybe focus wasn't on Srila Prabhupada yesterday, more Sweden, Krishna consciousness, Gaudiya Vaishnavism, and Sweden. Today I tried to put a little bit focus on Prabhupada and Sweden. I am myself a Swedish natural, what's that natural? I'm born Swedish, dies devotee. Then, but it's still, the connection Prabhupada and Sweden, or Krishna consciousness and Sweden goes like back some in time. In one letter I read from 1956 or something, Prabhupada addresses the problems of the world, and how the young people are becoming small gangsters and rockers and I don't know what. And he said, and in Sweden they have, funny word, knuttar. It was, for nowadays, such a guy is a nice guy. But from that point of view, at those times it was like young people who rebelled. Maybe compared with what later generations of rebels was, they were quite nice young men. But Prabhupada took notice that this kind of young people, disoriented and disillusioned and whatever, rebellious, they existed in Sweden also. Okay, important for me. Then, first time I heard about Prabhupada. I try. It's okay like that. Okay, good. Hare Krishna. Okay, now let's see let's see if I can handle the power. Keep the power. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Okay, now. I born 52, going in school, I don't know, 1968, 69, being 17. There was a small notice in our local newspaper in September 1969. There was a small notice, and the notice said, notice was one kind of part of the newspaper, it's small, and then it just said that there was a guru in London. There was a guru on visit in London, in Conway Hall, and he was sitting on a kind of throne or something, and his followers were dancing around him, chanting this mantra: Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. At least they said he was chanting a mantra. And the followers had shaven heads with a tuft, with a sika. And the followers believed that their Lord Krishna would lift them up in the sika out of the repeated birth and death. So that's a nice one. Small introduction for me to Krishna consciousness. to Srila Prabhupada. Of course, before that, summer '69, I wasn't exactly hippie, but I was hitchhiking around in Europe and coming to Hamburg, and there in the red light district, I came to see some monks sitting on a carpet with some cartels and a bowl for collecting money and some incense. It looked very mystic, so I'd say. I didn't know what, but they left a lasting impression. For me, in a way, this is moments when I actually, in a way, started to meet Srila Prabhupada, if not in body, but in spirit. Of course, these monks there, they kind of stuck in my mind, and my following year was a year of, existential crisis. And then next summer, '70, I went back to Germany, to Hamburg, to see if I found those monks, and amazingly enough, they were there. And I found them, or I don't know if they found me, but I was kind of looking around, and I came to the Sunday feast. And I thought that I go to that feast, and then I hitchhike back to my hometown in South Sweden, and then I'm going to have a nice rest in a nice bed at home. First I visit the Sunday feast. Okay, that Sunday feast, after that Sunday feast and that lecture, I did not return home. Much to my mother's disappointment, or despair was not just despair. I just disappeared. No one really knew until I wrote some friend. I didn't wrote my parents really. Okay, so there I came in contact, and I was. So we can say my contact with Prabhupada was very much through the teaching, but also through his disciples, of course, the senior disciples. There was Sansuduta, there was Himavati, there was Umapati, there was Bhakti Bhushan Swami, I forgot his name, Kula Shekhar, other names like that, Ilavati, there was many, okay. Jyoti Mai, there was different personalities who really had close association with, close personal interaction with Prabhupada. Those I met, and they fed me with some stories or information, instructions, whatever, and I felt it came from Prabhupada. So, in one sense, I'm like I feel I'm a little bit one step, a little bit away, so say not fully close on like Yamuna Devi, Brahmananda, and so many of the other great personalities who was actually closely serving Srila Prabhupada like that. I did not have that opportunity of serving him closely like that. But Krishna blessed me that I was able to render some service in my capacity in my different ways. Now, 71, we can say I had my first encounter, direct. I wrote my one and only letter to Srila Prabhupada. And of course, I think later on, I should have had written some more letters, but I didn't, okay. That's life. Of course, later on I also thought I should have taken more, we could say, I should have taken more advantage of Srila Prabhupada. I didn't do. I did ask Giriraj Maharaj in Mumbai. I met there and I spoke with him and I said, well, I feel sorry I didn't take more advantage of Srila Prabhupada. I was not close to him. I feel I wasn't close like that. So then Giriraj Maharaj said, we all feel that way. So that's nice, and well, sad in one sense, but nice in one way to hear that it's not just me. Anyone who was close to, or when Prabhupada was around, anyone could have taken, we could all have had taken more advantage, or many of us could have taken more advantage. Of course, we can still take advantage from the instructions and like that. So the question is actually, now and here, to fully utilize the time and energy for serving Krishna and his devotees and Srila Prabhupada. 1971, so I wrote my one and only letter. A letter, so at that time, maybe a little bit like this time, you got initiation. Well, there was a principle, thank you. There was that you, in order to get, I don't know if it was that you had to get a recommendation from the temple president, but the temple president wrote a letter to Srila Prabhupada. I kind of understand, at least my temple president did. I also mentioned there's Bhakta this and Bhakta that and Bhakti or whatever. And they are nice devotees, they may, well, I kind of recommend. But then I had to write the letter myself, okay. Because then some say, well, you know, I'm going to be directly initiated from Srila Prabhupada by the fire, but you know, maybe it fits better for you to just have a letter, to just have a letter. So the process, I was, first of all, I had to contemplate on the letter. That was quite good, because I really had to think. I mean, in my case at least, I had to think, what was, why initiation? Why, you know, what for? So Krishna gave me some intelligence. Thanks, Krishna. I thought, well, the temple president had just been preaching that in order to make progress in spiritual life, you should have a spiritual master. And Prabhupada in his book said that the little bit I've read and heard in the Bhagavatam, there was, in any case, there was only the 3 old Bhagavatams, basically. And maybe the first chapters of the 2nd canto printed started to come. Okay, so then what happened? So I kind of thought, then yes, Prabhupada, you say one should find a spiritual master to be initiated, and the temple president says it, so therefore I ask you humbly, accept me as your disciple. So I was at that time engaged as a Sankirtan man. We were going out on the street in Dhoti, and well, we didn't have kurtas. We had bed sheets, maybe it was, literally speaking, but we were walking out and we were having some magazine and maybe some incense, collecting some funds. The important with the letter there was that before sending it also, I went out to collect some Guru Dakshin to give Srila Prabhupada to send with the letter. So then what happened is I was on my spare time in the evening going out in the town, Hamburg's town, and asking for donations for my Guru, because I was going to be initiated. So I explained it very seriously to them. I'm going to initiate, I need to give some donation, please help a little bit. So I collected 5 Deutschmark. We may think 5 Deutschmark, and well, maybe nowadays, I don't know what, something, not too much, maybe, but it's still, important for me was, I collected with these 5 Deutschmark by very direct requesting people to give something and explaining where it was straight. I was not hiding anything or making any trick. So later on, I was on the street one day trying to distribute, and distributing actually. And then Yogeshwar Prabhu, who you may have heard about, he was also in the temple at that time. In my temple where I joined was his personalities. So then he came and said, "Oh, Bhakta Philip," that was my karmi name. "You got initiated, congratulations. Your name is Smith Krishna." What I heard was Smith Krishna. the strange name, Smith Krishna. But, well, it wasn't really Smith Krishna. It took me some time to learn, to first of all get it straight, what really was my name. But that's maybe many times the problems of a new initiated, even sometimes I give initiations and, then to get the name. What was the name now, really? What was it? In any case, I heard Smita Krishna Das Brahmachari. And I was, so in one way I'm so lucky that I did get initiation by letter, because I actually got a letter back where Prabhupada has written instructions, and he said, "Oh, my dear, whatever, Smita Krishna Das Brahmachari, very nice." And he thought I was serious and sincere. "I see from your letter you're serious and sincere. Please carry on this way, just read my books. Follow a full regulated principle, chant 16 rounds, and go on street Sankirtan as far as possible." Go on street Sankirtan as far as possible. I assume that Hansaduta Prabhu, my then temple president, had told that I was going on street Sankirtan. So we could say I've tried in my life to, as far as possible, whatever possible is, to go on street Sankirtan, or when you can. So that is my primary important contact, direct, something what I can speak about, in a way a direct exchange with Prabhupada, even though it was via letter. And as I said later on, there is other letters I should have had written, but I was too shy, so to say, and that's life. But I've survived. But I just, okay, we can think about it. There is a time when we are present, and there's a time we will not be present, when we're changing around. Prabhupada is, in any case, he also departed in due course of time, and then we thought, maybe why didn't I write that letter, or whatever, did that service. 71, 72, I came to know that I had two godbrothers. Actually, I had two godsisters also from Sweden, who were in London. And there was one man, one devotee, Krishna Das. He was married to one of these Swedish ladies, and he was kind of had some ancestors in Sweden, and was very, from my point of view, sentimentally attached to Sweden for this reason. But so they went there and tried to preach a little bit, came back, was not successful, not so successful. Then later on, I also know there was two godbrothers, two Swedish devotees, one in Australia basically, that's Vegavan and Ajit. Vegavan joined in India, Ajit in Australia, where there were two good friends. They were both good friends since university time in Uppsala, Stockholm, before they became, I don't know if they became hippies, but they were traveling around and visiting India and then going to Australia like that. 73, actually Ajit with his wife Krishna Premi did go to Sweden, and we had also produced a small booklet into Swedish, Krishna the Reservoir of Pleasure, and I was main responsible for this publication with its merits and its faults. It was the first edition, so I kind of didn't really remember the Swedish too good. Any case, there were some grammatical faults maybe, but any case, it gave the message, and it was printed in some 30,000 copies, and some later more, and distributed on the streets of Sweden. Vegavan, Ajit and Krishna Premi was in Sweden in the spring, 73. this book came to their place, and they were stored in their Vrindavan's parents' what do you call that, under the house? Basement. the basement of his parents' house. Later on, Vrindavan showed up with his wife. A little bit later that spring, they came through Hamburg, so I was in Hamburg as a Pujari, and we said hello and Hare Krishna, and they went on, and I stayed in Hamburg doing Pujari worship, deity worship. This Krishna Das with wife also showed up again in Sweden, 73, more during the summer, and they continued to distribute this booklet. And then the idea was that that they should invite Prabhupada to Sweden. So this was wonderful. Wonderful that they did that. Hans Suduta was a TBC, but he didn't really like it. He thought that first you do something and then you invite Prabhupada. Why invite Prabhupada to, there's nothing there going on, nothing going on, but you're just starting up. We should have something substantial to offer to Prabhupada. So later Hans Suduta did that, 1974, in Germany, when they had the Schloss Rettershof, so to say. Yes, big, think big. I'm sorry, but that was the reality. But anyway, so they managed to rent a nice house just in the outskirts of Stockholm, and they invited Prabhupada, and Prabhupada accepted the invitation. So Prabhupada came to stay for 1 week, I think 1 week in Sweden in September 1973. I was, again, as a brahmachari, Pujari in Germany, in Hamburg, and I wasn't so pushy. But in any case, it took me with to Sweden as well. And it wasn't really clear to me. Of course, I should understand that I should stay there. but I ended up staying there by Krishna's grace and could preach in Swedish. So I came in the late, let's see, getting together here. Prabhupada arrived. When Prabhupada arrived, the airplane landed. TV was also invited. So TV was there and filming how Prabhupada came off the airplane. In those times, the stairs came out, went down, and you went down these stairs to the, what do you call it, tarmac, or what do you call it? Tarmac. And Prabhupada was walking there. And someone that you can see on the film, that is, and then I was giving there's also these strange things. You can observe Srila Prabhupada, but you don't really know how to do it, okay? So then so for some reason or other, they give me 2 garlands to give to Prabhupada. And then someone else who knew better knew that I should have one, and then someone else should have given a little bit later. And maybe there came one on, he got one when he was sitting down on the asan also. Okay, I tell you. So he came off, I came there, and I asked Srila Prabhupada, and I gave 2 garlands. I made my basis, his Prabhupada continued in, and I came after, where there was, vague memory, some big guys behind. Yeah, I say big guy. Because Prabhupada, that's my first impression was, this is 73, by the way. I saw Prabhupada 72 also in Paris. Maybe I mix it a little bit. But the impression is there to see Srila Prabhupada followed by his big American disciples. Something like, well, Sattvarup Das Goswami is maybe not so big, but Shyam Sundar Prabhu and if Brahmananda Prabhu was walking behind there, then you see 2 big guys coming, and then this short, gentle Indian gentleman, and then just the thought is, how wonderful that such a small person can command such a respect among this big man. So that his greatness was not physical, it was spiritual. So then, I think as Prabhupada went, and I remember they let him in, they arranged so that he came into the VIP room. He didn't have to go through the different straight into the VIP room, and I remember there was a police lady, and she had some special card there, pressing through, and then this VIP room opened, and then Prabhupada went in, I came in, and then devotees came from some other sources, and Prabhupada gave a lecture, and there was a TV reporter who at the end made some stupid questions. Typical Swedish, stupid, some kind of... In any case, I mixed up Prabhupada with Maharaj Yogi, and the Beatles had said that Maharaj Yogi was a bluff. I take that way. He asked something about being a bluff, and then Prabhupada said, who says that? And he says, George Harrison. Well, no, he is our friend. He just gave us a big building. Actually, no. It's really good you sit me here today, because I realize that I'm forgetting things. Because actually in the summer there, 73, I was actually visiting Bhaktivedanta Manor while Prabhupada was there from Hamburg. So that is, I mean, to keep the timeline and all the different details. Of course, maybe I think it's not so important, but maybe it's important for some, I don't know. Okay, but in any case, the point is that, well, this sequence here, this recording was, I don't know where, someone other they stored it in the Swedish television, and some 53, 83, 93, no, some 15 or 20, let's say 20, is 20 word? Not really. Some 17 years later, there's another foolish Swedish TV guy, was a young man who's going to make his task is to make a bad program about the Hare Krishnas. In any case, I end up with him, talking with him, and I said, I did one thing, thank you. I thought, you're working on the TV, but actually there was a recording of Prabhupada when he came to Sweden. It went out in the news. So I asked him if it's still there. So he said, yes. Well, if it's after 1972, then it should be there. Because I think after 1972, and said in Sweden, they stored all this material. So this guy, he did a kind of lousy TV program, but he did one good thing. He secured a copy of this news, report from the Swedish TV from 1973. So we have that. That is there. Prabhupada, so he came and he stayed in this house in the suburb of Sweden. My exchange with him, again, there was a garland. I remember these garlands, maybe because I've been a pujari, so I've been making many garlands. Kind of remember. But then it's such a small thing. Okay, Prabhupada is sitting they made some vyasasana for him, and he's sitting there, and he should have a garland in the morning, okay, before the Bhagavatam class. And now this morning, for some reason or another, I'm giving the garland to give to Prabhupada. And now I notice that this garland is a little bit cold. Because my mind goes, okay, the ladies, I'm sorry, ladies, were lazy to do a garland in the morning, so they made it in the evening and put it in the fridge. And now they realize maybe that's my speculation, they realize it and think that let Smita Krishna Prabhu take care of the garland. And I get this cold garland, Prabhupada says, and I put it in Prabhupada. And I think, and then Prabhupada very graciously just like kind of takes it off and puts it to the side. And I pay my obeisances, and I don't know if that was a sin, what was the wrong? Give the garland, not give the garland, but in any case, my advice is don't give cold garlands, neither to the deities nor to the Guru. There was one lecture there in the house, I remember, the German devotees, they came, even though Hansaduta maybe thought that things should have been bigger established before Prabhupada came to visit, they still more or less, the whole German yatra came, and they brought their whole sound system that they had for their traveling programs, festival programs. So we're sitting in the house, and the room is maybe as big as this room. And they have a sound system, and there's one guy sitting, and now the sound system doesn't work. And then Prabhupada says, what? It's not working. And now it's something not working. Then he gives a whole lecture about useless arrangements, useless big arrangements. So say how the modern civilization is. They make so many big arrangements, but actually it sounds great. It sounds big, but it's like two goats fighting each other. Makes some noise, but then you say, Prabhupada said, you say hut, and they go away. So in the case of Prabhupada was kind of anti this, all these nice big arrangements, technological arrangements. Then there was some quite Prabhupada actually gave famous lectures in Sweden, and maybe still for me, the lectures of Prabhupada, to sit and listen to the lecture of Prabhupada, that was essence, the essence, or the heaven, or that was the perfection. I had heard early in Hamburg, 1970, they said, learn from Prabhupada. In Hamburg, we was multilingual with English and with the Swedish and the German. German didn't speak so much English, but the principle was that whether you understood it or not, you should listen. Because there was a transcendental sound vibration. The transcendental sound vibration, well, the transcendental topic would still somehow penetrate and purify your consciousness. So to sit and listen to Prabhupada giving lecture, we can say that's the perfection of life. You can't be in a better position. Here's a pure devotee speaking about Krishna, and you can sit and listen and try to absorb. We also know Prabhupada's mention was that Prabhupada himself said that if you hear nicely, you can speak nicely. So the idea was I tried to hear, and I can speak something, not that people ask me to speak. But then the point was to sit and listen to him. So one lecture that maybe I do remember, of course now it's a long time ago, so to remember all this lecture in detail is not possible. I was just looking through some transcription, and in the transcription I have here, there's some questions afterwards is missed out, it looks like. But in this lecture, and it was in Uppsala, it's the university town of Stockholm, and it was in a university town, and it was university facilities. And Aristahe Prabhu here, who was with also yesterday, sitting, my god brother, he was attending that lecture as a young seeker. And what's the name? Yogendra mentioned yesterday this Walter Eidlitz. Aristahe was actually trying to find Walter Eidlitz to find out something more about Krishna from him. But Walter Eidlitz wasn't at home when he knocked on the door. In any case, he ended up, maybe not instead, but he ended up at Prabhupada's lecture in Uppsala. So this lecture goes as a sequence there, that morning, what the devotees did was that they arranged as much as possible different meetings with different personalities whom Prabhupada could preach to, significant personalities. And that morning he had spoken with some dry philosophers in a kind of club, not really a club, institution, stiftelse. Do we have a word for that? Stiftelse. Some kind of foundation, religious, spiritual, philosophical foundation, and Prabhupada has been speaking with them. And then afterwards he thought that it was a little bit dry, because they were more interested in Advaita Vedanta or something like that. So Prabhupada had asked Ajit, who was with him, say, well, because Prabhupada thought he wasn't really satisfying this exchange, he asked, what are people actually interested of here in Sweden? So then Ajit said, well, they're kind of interested in politics, in left-wing politics. That's there. They're secular, they're interested. Said Prabhupada. And then that evening, or in the afternoon, when this lecture was in Uppsala, then he spoke quite a bit on emphasis on Varnashram Dharma, on division of the human society according to guna and karma. And how there is a first class, the head and the arms and the legs and the bellies, and how they need to be ahead in the society, otherwise it doesn't work. Now this was in the university setting, and to the end there was the lectures, and then one young man was quite agitated, and it was we could feel the energy there of and was antagonism going on, and then he said, "Okay, so you're the first class man. You're a first class man." I mean, he's saying it like a challenge. So you think you're first class? And then Prabhupada said, "No, we are fifth class because we are the servant of everyone." And then there comes a sequence as I remember it. It's just as I remember it, okay? But it was there somewhere. So the Prabhupada then, "Okay, so why did you come here?" Because he's so agitated, the young man, and doesn't really like the answer. "So why did you come here?" So then he says, I came here to learn something." And then Prabhupada said, "Well, Krishna is, take it from us. Krishna is God. Now kirtan." And I think that is the beauty of seeing Prabhupada here. And then it was a roaring kirtan starting. And there's good luck that kirtan started, or Prabhupada ended it that way. Because someone other that was with the attitude of this young man, it was not Aristaya Prabhu, it was his other student there. He was so kind of nasty, challenging, or whatever, socialistic, whatever, atheistic background. So the devotees were boiling, and I myself was also, I'm not boiling, but feeling very uneasy, and I think I kind of walked a little bit outside of the hall there, not because it was too much. One devotee, he had just forsaken his safe, I don't know, I think security reasons brought a hammer with him, but luckily he didn't get an opportunity to use that one. But so devotees could be like that sometimes. Want to take it drastically, protecting, in one sense, protecting Srila Prabhupada. This man, the young man who was challenging, I maybe even got prasadam and could go away unharmed, thanks Krishna. Maybe thanks to Prabhupada, who in a very elegant way managed to end the whole thing, and then just said, "Yes, now kirtan," and then ended the whole thing, so to say. I would say that's a significant memory from that Prabhupada being in Sweden. Now there was another one instance, that's for my, as a listener, a little bit in the background, seeing what's happening. And then there was a lecture in in Stockholm. Uppsala is one town, Stockholm is another, but they're close to each other. Stockholm also has a university, and the devotees managed to arrange for a hall in some kind of a students' union hall that was part of the university. And the interesting thing was that there was one who worked in the university which kind of helped us to get that hall. It gave us a little bit of prestige that we were giving lecture in a university facility. Well, there's two divisions to that. First, one thing is that we went out distributing in Stockholm in the summer of '73, late summer and late. We were meeting all these different people, including some drunkards who were walking around on the street, sitting around. And in those times, 1973, drunkards in Sweden on the street was actually quite nice people. Because they were just simply disillusioned with life and feeling emptiness and not really making it in this society and getting in, just sitting, being drunk. But they kind of, you could speak to them and they thought, "Oh, what did he say? And we're not his body, and why live in celibacy, Well, to serve Krishna better. Oh, okay. They could take these things. And they were also invited to Prabhupada's lecture. Prabhupada didn't know that. We didn't tell Prabhupada specifically that, But Prabhupada gave this lecture, and I remember this one. He's what? He's making this, he's preaching from the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, and there Krishna says it's a pure taste of water. You know that. And then he says, in the pure taste of water, even if you think that the taste of the water is Krishna, then you also become Krishna conscious. Yeah, even if you think that the taste of the wine is Krishna, you will also become Krishna conscious. So this is quite a radical statement Prabhupada made in this hall where these drunkards some of these drunkards was also present. Of course, we don't recommend anyone to drink wine, but as a way of encouraging those who are down there to bring them up on a higher level. A similar statement was made in Australia, Melbourne, on some lecture. Maybe it happened more times. Srila Prabhupada, so that's the media in Sweden. There was some what do you call that? Kind of left-wing media, not right-wing paper, and more left-wing, and they found this that very disturbing, that Prabhupada and his movement was coming here and preaching, and they were giving opportunities to use the facilities of the university. That was like they were getting on the case of that. And the man who helped arrange this, he got some reprimands for this, but he later on actually maybe was some kind of devotee already, and turned out to devotees now staying by Radha Kund. He's not a ISKCON devotee though, but still something is going on. So that way, and again, something, Prabhupada eventually left. He said he appreciated Sweden. He thought there was a hope for Sweden. He thought the intellectuals he appreciated their changes and the programs. And he appreciated the air. There also it was early autumn, September, with a clear, little bit cool air, but it was good for his chest, and he didn't mind coming back. Of course, that didn't happen in that sense. The thing with Sweden is just that last thing I know that Prabhupada, we got a property in the early 1977, negotiated, and Vrindavan and wrote Prabhupada and said, we got this, and there was a pond, and there was some lakes, 2 lakes and things, and Prabhupada thought, well, why don't you call it New Radha Kund? And I guess that property and that temple is still there. Welcome to Sweden to see it, while it still is there. Well, things are changing, and preaching abilities is different, so it's sometimes difficult to maintain. Okay. When Prabhupada was in Germany, for myself, exchanges with Prabhupada, so my emphasis, maybe my service was to listen to Prabhupada when I could. I felt that was what I could do, and that's what I tried to do. And I did also get opportunities to be with Prabhupada on morning walks, and the first one was in 1971 in Paris, and I have a kind of a memory even of what he spoke about. And that's something about how he just walking and say, well, look here, here's this park, and how the trees are standing. They're not standing there by chance. It's some gardener put them there. I know as a house is built, there's some master plan for the house. And then actually said that even the raindrops are not just falling by chance. So there's a supreme, so a gardener or a master mind behind the whole universe. Of course, that was nice to be with Prabhupada there walking. And then later on in Germany, 74, there I remember I got this opportunity to walk with Prabhupada a few times. And then sometimes you get caught in the photograph also. And that's kind of Then I remember, yes, I was really there. And then sometimes they caught you on a photograph that I don't even remember where that lecture was almost. But in Germany, Prabhupada walked out in the mornings there. There was also this Schloss and there was nice nature around. And in the mornings could walk there very nicely. And one morning after the Prabhupada had been on a program in the evening, with the big program, everyone was there. We came back a little bit late. And the next morning, most devotees were not quite ready to get up in time, but I was in time. And I saw there's Prabhupada, there was Hansadutta, and there was Satsvarup Das Goswami, and they were going to start to walk with Prabhupada, and I was going to running after and catching up. Of course, there was more devotees coming afterwards, catching up and forming a small crowd that walking around, and then we were listening and just seeing, what is Prabhupada? What is he going to say more? What is going to come now? Like waiting for the next new revelation coming there, so to say. Of course, Prabhupada, we could say, was saying the same time all the time. But the point was that still, it was like a new thing each time hearing it from Srila Prabhupada. So that was something like that was going on. Anyways, my exchanges with Prabhupada. There, on other lectures, 1975, I attended, we from Sweden attended and me also, the Gaur Puranim festival. At that time, there was a little bit of a controversy with Hansadutta, because, okay, and just, any case, something. Now, in any case, he's taking a little bit of a position. He has a kind of charismatic style, and the Germans like to follow, so it kind of went on. And I just heard something. I didn't hear too much, being a humble brahmachari trying to serve, so I didn't go too much involved in anything. But I was listening there to Prabhupada, so it's in the morning, he was taking his morning walk, and then coming back to the temple, and then there's a deity greeting and like that, and whether there's a Guru Puja, I'm not quite sure, but there he ends up sitting on the Vyasasana and he gives a lecture, and as far as I remember, it was an act of devotion. But then in this one lecture, he just makes a statement that clears all doubts in my mind, and he just says what, in general, something like, in general, as long as your guru is present, you don't initiate. That was just like, as long as the guru is present, you don't initiate, or you don't, you respect the guru. So that was for me, okay, bye, Krishna. That was for me, just a small, how I received from Prabhupada, just a small, okay, now I know. Now I know how things are meant to be, so to say. There was no reason for confusion, hearing what Prabhupada's statement in the lecture, so to say. For me, it was like a small message to me. Maybe it was, of course, message to everyone. But in any case, I took it. Okay, Hare Krishna. So that way, listening, taking the essential elements, at least remember those things and stick, keeping them with you. 75. The 76 devotees, and there was 77. Devotees went 76. 77, we got the Prabhupada came to London, his last trip, he tried to go to Gitanagar, he came to London and didn't get any further. And the devotees from all over Europe went to London to meet Srila Prabhupada. And a little bit, we heard a story yesterday that was a little bit sad in a way. From my point of view. In case, they went to London and they left to do some kirtan, okay? And one of those left behind to make the Samkirtan was me. But of course, what I was left with there was me and one another Prabhu in a Volkswagen bus, full with records and the newly printed Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita in Swedish. Bhagavad Gita as it is in Swedish. You might even, I don't know, may even exist somewhere in the shelves here, just that first edition. I don't know if the first one, but in any case, there was. It was nice, but that was maybe my, I'd say there, Prabhupada was there, but I was there with his Bhagavad Gita I was trying to crack how to distribute this book, because this was such a big book. You know, we were used to small books, you know, ask for whatever, a couple of dollars or something for it, or even that, $1 or something. I don't know, it's hard to compare the prices now. And we had just started with these records, and good or bad, I don't know. But I was I was out there with this devotee, and we were alone, and that was like a nice setting for me, because I was a little bit more in peace with my thought and my experimentation, how to make this work to actually distribute this big book. Because that was the challenge. You had some 15, 20,000 of these books, and you didn't know how to distribute it. Is it going to stay forever in the storage? No. I have to find out. So in any case, I would say, my rasa with Prabhupada, his books at that time was that actually I got my way of giving the record and asking for a high price for the record, and then giving the book, and just for a little bit more they took the book also. With this way I managed to crack it, and I was satisfied that I'd actually managed to distribute Srila Prabhupada's books in a little bit higher quantities than previously. And that was, in one way, my being, I would say in one sense, my being with Prabhupada at that time, so to say. Even though I missed, they should have sent me there. I would say they should have sent me there. But in any case, I was too humble or something. But Prabhupada let me, once Prabhupada, Krishna, whatever, let me be there in that situation to actually be able to a little bit think out a little bit how to distribute these excellent books, Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita in Swedish. So that's a little bit about something. I don't know. Times I've said something about whatever I'm trying. Maybe I don't know if you have some question or comments. You may also. How time-wise should we go? Okay, I just check here my notes here. See, well. Well, there was one thing is, this is maybe a little bit, someone would say speculative, but as a disciple of Prabhupada, as a follower of Prabhupada, because the direct contact was not there, as I can see from the books and serving, like, sometimes Prabhupada also came in the dreams. Of course, that we could say is Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. What good are they doing now? Okay, Hare Krishna. Okay, you're trying to put in a question microphone. Okay, good, thank you. There was this, sometimes Prabhupada appeared in dreams. Of course, that we can say it's just dreamy, it's just, has no substance. Well, maybe for me it had substance. You say like that, whether it has substance. And of course, I can't really prove anything. And no one can really disprove it either. And there can be whatever. Someone could make up things that I had a dream of Prabhupada this night or something. But usually you don't feel like people in general don't make up. So it happened that Prabhupada came in dreams sometimes. And then we have the point where Prabhupada actually left this planet. Well, did he? He left the planet, but In any case, then I said, well, he lived his physical form, but then again, we have the samadhi here. We have the samadhi here, where Prabhupada he's in samadhi, meditating on the Lord's pastimes, and maybe meditating on the continuation of the movement he started. So this was an experience. I remember in the beginning, I don't know if it's short after, or some time after, or a year after. Again, I have a picture, a dream of Prabhupada. And then the spontaneous reaction is, oh, Prabhupada, you're still here. That was like, I thought you were gone, but you're still here. Not that he said so much or anything, it was just like, I see him. And it's like just like a confirmation. I would say, like a confirmation, yes, I'm here. So say, he's not, so Prabhupada is not dead and gone. He's alive and here, but in a different capacity. And then, of course, when you hear that even second generation devotees and like that sometimes have dreams of Prabhupada. So as there's a presence of Prabhupada in spirit, because then we can be all, okay, I don't want to be the flower power or something, because to actually serve Prabhupada, in one sense, okay, we dream of Prabhupada or something, but we actually, the essence is to serve Prabhupada by sincere service, and maybe the real challenge is to serve Prabhupada together, so to say. And that is, in spite of all differences and all conflicts and whatever going on, and I think that's the devotees. What unites us is because we want to serve Prabhupada. And then Prabhupada established a DBC, therefore there's a DBC. If there wasn't Prabhupada said, it wouldn't be there. So on the order of Srila Prabhupada, we try to serve together, and so many things are done. And in one sense, maybe that is in a way also Prabhupada's being present to some degree in different capacities of Prabhupada's personality or nature of his being. Okay, Hare Krishna. Now, if you want to see Prabhupada in Sweden, Yogendra said there's about 18 entries about Prabhupada in Sweden. As I looked in the transcripts, there was quite a few lectures and conversations where he was speaking and discussing. And important point there was at some of the lectures in Sweden, he did one remarkable thing. It is noticed that it's supposedly the first time he really starts to sing the Brahma Samhita and preach from the Brahma Samhita, at least in a public forum. At least it's certainly that he does it there in Stockholm. And some BBT men said that actually he didn't really do that before. So something special happened there, okay. Hare Krishna. Now, I don't know I can say anything more. Thank you for listening and inviting me to, in this way, kind of refresh myself a little bit in this matter. Maybe I have some question or comment. Someone?
I hope this works. Okay. So, while you were in Europe, and Prabhupada made the comment, it is the etiquette for, he was speaking directly to Hansadutta.
He was speaking to Hansadutta, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the etiquette to wait till your spiritual master leaves the planet before you start taking disciples. So this is, I didn't think of it until just now, but this is another confirmation of how this disciplic succession works also. When the spiritual master leaves, then the disciples should take responsibility for taking disciples. Of course, he was a little bit out of tune with this thing. I was in the manor at that time, and this whole Oh yeah, that. Could you just turn that off?
I turn this one off, it's enough? I don't know what. Does that help? Because I think, okay, try.
And it won't buzz like that. Prabhupada gave that nice lecture in Sweden at the university. There was a devotee in the manor who took it and edited it to what he thought would be more presentable for the university students in England. And when Srila Prabhupada heard about it, so he and Rabbanandan Swami were involved with.
Hey, no.
Were involved in that.
If you kindly turn this mic down now. That down has to go down. Because it's.
So Prabhupada was very angry. I was just a new devotee, and he was giving darshan in the manor, upstairs in his rooms, and he was screaming at Mahadev and Rabbanandan Swami. How dare they change his words?
Yeah.
So I just wanted to mention that. And then, his lips were trembling, he was screaming, and then that was over, and then there was some interchange with some other devotees, and it would look like nothing happened. Prabhupada had been angry for a purpose, and then he just switched gears. He was over. So that was a very interesting thing for me, because usually when you're angry, it's very hard to get over it. And Prabhupada didn't make any difference for him. He sure was angry.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Any other?
Radhe Radhe. Guru Maharaj, I realize that Guru Maharaj has spiritual body. Their body is not like us, not physical, but you have spiritual body. So I feel Guru is God.
Uh-huh.
Am I right?
No.
No, you are wrong. I'm right.
Wait.
Because you never say, by your mouth, I'm God. But we people can realize that Guru is really God or not.
Guru is representative of God. And as such, okay, let's see here. No, it is on. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Guru is representative of God, and that way he's non-different, but he's a different. Achintya Beda Beda Tattva. There's inconceivable oneness and difference. Yeah. He is to be treated as God in all ways, but are not exactly in that position.
Because he's giving the same message and his mind
Yeah. Yes.
is one. His mind is one with God.
Yes.
However, because of that misconception, he had four sannyasis leave the movement and go traveling.
Yeah.
God, the position of God is already taken.
Yes. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Guru is not God, and Srila Prabhupada has said that anybody who says that is dog.
No.
This,
No.
this
No,
is,
I'm sorry.
This is Guru Aparad, and this is also Bhagavad Aparad.
In Shastras written,
No.
Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guru
Let's see now. Now we need a Sanskrit scholar here.
What's the meaning of it? Tell me, madam.
Can somebody translate